part two of the week 5 preview here on the Audible, and Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Plenty to talk about on the Bucs side, Bloom, but on the Atlanta side, now with less Cordero Patterson, what does that look like for a Caleb Huntley or Tyler Algier? And well, the Falcons overall as they travel to face Tampa.
Yeah, this is a Tampa team that is on the rise, an Atlanta team that has been surprisingly competitive. And last week they beat a Cleveland team. What's the theme week 5? Are these teams any good, right? Cleveland team we thought might be good. They're a team that just collapsed against the Jets bizarrely, but otherwise they've been a good team, and Atlanta beat them. They beat them with the running game, but like you said, it's a running game that's going to be without Cordero Patterson. Now we did see Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley both look pretty good. We're used to Tampa Bay's run defense being pretty good, but not this year. Not so much. We saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire put up over 90 yards on them. We saw Isaiah Pacheco run well on them on Sunday night. So I think that's something we're looking at. What the heck flex sleeper of the week picks. Algier, Huntley fit in there if they can get the run going and if this defense can slow down Tampa's pass offense so that Atlanta can truly establish the run. Lots of people with Kyle Pitts this week sees they're dire straits, right? Money for nothing. And you got to keep playing him. I mean, this is a game that could have a game script, but you also benefits Pitts, but you also see just a lack of effort. And when would we ever think Arthur Smith would be a guy that would not make an effort to scheme Kyle Pitts open, to get the ball in his hands? It's not that difficult. And look, I get it. If Kyle Pitts can't beat one-on-one coverage against the best cover player, well, then change it up, do something. Putting Parker Hesse on the field instead of him, that's malpractice. It's your number 4 overall pick. This guy was supposed to influence games from day one. And if he's not on the field, how can he influence games? Even if you're using him as a decoy, even if you're creatively saying, hey, we'll play chess and we'll trade him for the best cover corner and let Drake London do things. So I do think this could be a Drake London game or a Kyle Pitts game. We're in a situation here where maybe not both of them will go off in the same week. So Atlanta season, I think at the end of this game, we also might be saying, when is Desmond Ridder going to start, even though Atlanta has been competitive? So this is a crossroads for this offense. It's a crossroads for this team. But for Tampa, it seems like things are finally getting on track.
Yeah, getting on track while Tom Brady's personal life is falling apart. And that's where the Brady thing.
These two things are related.
Yes. And I just feel terrible for Brady and his family, basically. No one wants to go through that. But he is going through that. But you mentioned sleeper of the week, Bloom. We'll save it for the end of the show. But I'm thinking Rachaad White is my sleeper of the week. And how does that influence things with Tampa if they do start using White a little bit more than not so playoff Lenny?
Right. No, this is a preseason, off-season Lenny. And that's why we're wondering, will we see more Rachaad White like we did last week? Was it just a product of the game script? They were trailing Kansas City. And when I say Tampa's getting on track, I mean on offensive side. Obviously, defense has some questions. Todd Bowles will take care of that. And I think it could be a game where they make Atlanta look miserable, but they can make Atlanta's defense look miserable with Chris Godwin healthy and healthy enough to play at least, and Mike Evans. And we really see this pass offense is going to go through those two players. And we do have a sleeper tight end of the week, or one of them, and Cade Otton from Washington got on the field when Cameron Brate was out. Cameron Brate sees another controversial concussion non-call. It was a shoulder. He got hit on the shoulder. Not quite. He had a concussion. I don't think your brain's in your shoulder, but he may or may not play this week. So if Brate is out, Otton is definitely he can definitely make it happen against Atlanta. Atlanta's been weak against the tight end, but I think you're right to headline this one as Rachaad White. Is this his time? Is it coming maybe to a committee or more as Leonard Fournette just looks sluggish right now and isn't really helping this offense that much?
Titans and Washington. Did the Titans figure it out? Did the Titans get things fine? Because we talked about Desmond Ridder, right? It seems like every week we're just on a Desmond Ridder watch. Well, we were going to start the clock for Malik Willis. Now, Ryan Tannehill totally redeemed himself, or at least Derrick Henry did. Now against Washington, more of the same, and now less Treylon Burks as well.
Yeah, this should be a game. Derrick Henry's on track, and this should be a Derrick Henry game, right? This is a team, again, is this team actually good? I think we know that Washington is not good. Tennessee might be good, or certainly in that Mike Vrabel way, be better than the sum of their parts. I think we're definitely looking at Robert Woods as a wide receiver 3 flex this week with Traylon Burks out. Washington has been very generous to opposing wide receivers so far this year. And again, with Henry, what you're seeing, and over, I'm mayor of Narrative Street and maybe the chairman of overreactions from early games, but he didn't look like himself in the first 2 weeks. Cece's looking more like himself now, especially getting him the ball in space. And this is maybe a memo to Arthur Smith about Kyle Pitts. Get that confidence going. You get ahead of steam, and then you build on that. And Derrick Henry's looking good. He's going to have a lot of chances to get ahead of steam. We're going to see what happens with anybody else in this passing game. Maybe Okonkwo, the rookie, get jiggy with it, something, because he did some things for this offense last week. They don't really have anybody else. We're right back where we were last year. We were talking about Nick Westbrook Ikina. This is it. It's Robert Woods, which is why you need to put him in your lineup this week.
Okay, Washington side of things, still waiting on Brian Robinson, and waiting on when they make a decision to go away from Carson Wentz. It almost seems like that for both of these teams and Atlanta. Right. We're just kind of waiting. All right, and no Jahan Dotson, that makes me sad, but maybe more Terry McLaurin because of it, maybe.
Right, and that's the fantasy headline here. Sam Howell actually looked good in the preseason too, and it looked like the team was behind him. So we'll see. Like you say, Cecil, we're counting this down. Pressure on Wentz, even without Harold Landry, and Bud Dupree's been banged up. They've got Rashad Weaver, but I think you're going to see pressure on Wentz. We saw pressure generated by Tennessee on Matt Ryan last week, and that means probably not going to see a very good Wentz. But as you said, less wide, narrower target tree. So Terry McLaurin's in, Curtis Samuel's in, maybe even Logan Thomas. Tennessee's actually been pretty generous to the tight end. Did you see what Indy's tight ends did to Tennessee last week? 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, I think, 11 catches. So, again, tight end sleepers. Logan Thomas is awake, and then we'll see if Brian Robinson's back for this one. It might be Antonio Gibson's last stand, but maybe more of a J.D. McKissick game. Again, if Tennessee can get that pressure on Washington, and Derrick Henry can stake them to a lead.
I like what Philip says in the chat room. The NFL season starts today. Remember this time a year ago, we thought Sam Darnold was an MVP and John Taylor was a bust. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Preseason is over. It is week 5. It is part 2 of the week 5 preview here on the Audible. Texans and Jaguars. You have Texans you can trust now.
Yeah.
Can't say that all the time, Bloom. But yeah, you have some Texans, only a couple, that you can trust. So trust away against Jacksonville.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce getting those 6 catches, getting that 75-yard touchdown run. You hope he's game script proof. If you think Jacksonville can get the drop on Houston, and look, under the theme of, is this team actually good? Jacksonville, actually good, Cease? Actually good. Make Jacksonville Twitter like you. Jacksonville actually good?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, you need to take care of business against Houston if you are actually good, although this has been a matchup, this divisional matchup in particular, no matter what the records of the teams are, no matter how they're doing, can be very unpredictable. But you will see Dameon Pierce hopefully continue to play a role in the passing game, in addition to get some chances, at least while this game is close. It may be a Rex Burkhead game script if you want to go really deep for a sleeper, if Jacksonville can assert the control over this game. But if you think that's going to happen, you like Brandon Cooks. And just like last week, even in the rain, just like last week, Jacksonville was playing in the rain. Houston wasn't, but they were trailing. Both teams were trailing in the second half. And Brandon Cooks at least had a lot of short catches, had a touchdown. So that was the first good result we've seen from him all year. We'll see about Nico Collins. I don't know. Jacksonville's front seven is pretty good. So I don't know about Nico Collins getting open downfield in this one. Jordan Akins is back. Pharaoh Brown got cut this week. What's up with that? That was strange. $3 million guaranteed or something like that. He got cut. So strange goings on, which I guess is normal in Houston.
Broncos should pick him up.
Yeah.
It is a Broncos show. Let's talk about the Jaguars, though, and Trevor Lawrence. And then what are you going to get from Travis Etienne this week? It's cold and little warm and then cold and I don't know. And we're watching the health status of Zay Jones. Yes, you're concerned about Zay Jones. We'll look at Christian Kirk and is Marvin Jones Jr.
a
sleeper of the week?
Well, maybe, but I guess if Zay Jones is still out, we're looking more at Jamal Agnew. We're going to watch that. Probably just going to see a lot of Christian Kirk in this one, maybe a little bit of Evan Ingram if you have to dig down deep, and certainly a lot of James Robinson. And we're going to see if this matches our decoder ring, because it seemed like last week we learned, okay, hey, if it is a game where Jacksonville trails in the second half, then we will see more ETN. Maybe not enough for ETN to be fantasy relevant. At this point, Cease, ETN is a play kind of like Tony Pollard, although honestly, he hasn't shown as much as Tony Pollard, right? He hasn't actually
Right.
shown that he can translate his abilities to big plays in a limited opportunity. So you put him in hoping for a big play. Certainly, if this game is Jacksonville's game, it seems like more of a James Robinson second half. So I think he's still the one we want to look to. And again, we want to see for all the Jacksonville fans long suffering that this team is actually good and they can handle a team like the Texans.
They're actually good. And well, we got one team that's, we think they're good, right? Bloom and San
Yeah.
Francisco and Carolina up next, part 2, week 5 preview. Like, so San Francisco, yeah, we think they're good. Carolina, we know they're not good. So the 49ers side, as they continue to figure things out with Jimmy Garoppolo, well, it's Carolina. I don't care if it's on the road or not. You should be able to figure a lot of stuff out this week.
Yeah, right? Is there a bigger mismatch this week? And I'm not really, this is more for the Carolina side of the ball than San Francisco's defense against Carolina's offense. But you also think San Francisco's offense will have some success here. And it's going to be, well, the same old. Jimmy Garoppolo, not so much a fantasy quarterback that you want, but he's going to increase the fantasy value, at least of Deebo Samuel. See, can we just take a moment out to appreciate Deebo Samuel's catch and run touchdown and Garoppolo's throw? Garoppolo's throw, whether intentional or not, it could have been a pick six if he had thrown it accurately, but he threw high. And Deebo Samuel says, I can climb the ladder. And then Deebo Samuel, it's kind of like watching Nick Chubb. It's just, you just have to admire it, even if against your team, because it's a combination of physicality and pure will. And it is really fun watching Deebo Samuel play right now. It's not as fun if you have Brandon Ayuk, not as fun if you have George Kittle. Almost a touchdown last week. With Kittle, because it's tight end, I mean, maybe you drafted Kittle, and I don't know who you would play over him that you might have drafted after him at this point. It's just Andrews and Kelsey, maybe Tyler Higbee, but you're getting too cute if you play Higbee over Kittle. I'm probably going to stick with Kittle, and you're going to stick with Jeff Wilson. We had him take that 32-yard run to the house against the Rams. And in this game where San Francisco should establish the run, I think we may even see a little, I don't know, Marlon Mack or Jordan Mason or somebody, because you would expect that San Francisco brings this one home on the road.
We can talk about 3 Carolina Panthers, 1 Baker Mayfield just to make fun of him, 2 Christian McCaffrey to talk about him being hurt, and 3 DJ Moore to feel sorry for him.
Yeah, that's it, right? I mean,
that's the Carolina take, everybody.
Every week, every week,
every day,
every week. It's so funny, Cease. Let's just highlight this since we don't have much to say about them. You're going to play Christian McCaffrey and hope. You're going to play DJ Moore and hope, and maybe get tired of that soon enough. And then we get to Baker Mayfield. And I just want to say this. There was a report, I don't know if it was Rappaport or Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, one of those national insiders, put a report out this week. Sam Darnold is still far away from playing, right? So, number one, who's asking? Well, I know who's asking. Panthers fans. They're pining for Sam Darnold. We need Sam Darnold thing. Is there any chance we can get Sam Darnold in? What's happening? Where's Will Greer? Or, I know he's on the Cowboys roster. My point is just that Josh Johnson, can we get Josh Johnson back?
How about in the starting PJ role? Walker talk?
Right? Yeah, right. I mean, he's gotten his chances. It's just sad, Cease, because I'll say this, all right? As long as Baker Mayfield is starting the NFL, he's taking an opportunity for somebody else, anybody else, to show what they can do on an NFL field, right? Somewhere out there might be at least one quarterback that hasn't been given a chance yet, hasn't been given that look to see, can you hang? And this comes into the talk we were talking about processors and Ted Sundquist technology, that there probably are a few quarterbacks at least have the processor. Maybe they don't have ideal tools. Maybe they don't have the pedigree. Maybe they don't have a coach or some sort of bloodline or something that's on their side. But if they got a chance, to get out there, at least they could show as a starter that they're a viable backup, that there's someone that can come in and
Yes.
not lose the game for you. So let's just say that, this is getting, I'm tired of seeing Baker Mayfield's commercials. I'm tired of seeing starting games. I'm sure anybody who has Carolina Panthers is too.
From Matt Rule to Vic Fangio. Carolina could get worse. It
Why
could.
are you doing that? It's because it's October and like Halloween and you want to scare everybody?
Scare everybody.
I'm dressing
That's
up as
right.
Vic Fangio for Halloween.
Ooh, and I'm not giving out any candy because in my day we didn't have candy. We chewed on straps of leather, and that's it. And when they wore out, we gave them to our little kid brother. Anyway,
hand me down leather. I didn't even get candy. I got hand me down leather for Halloween.
Exactly. That's right. It is the Audible Week 5 preview. Dallas and the LA Rams are the next game we're going to talk about. And the Dallas side of things, Dak isn't ready yet. Not being able to grip a football is not being ready.
That's important.
Yeah, it's a little bit for a quarterback. So we could rant and rave about why they didn't put him on IR, or we could just admire Cooper Rush and then go, okay, Michael Gallup, no, Brown's not going anywhere. Obviously, CD Lamb's going to do his thing and watch the health status of Dalton Schultz. So we're kind of used to the Cowboys now, Bloom, with Cooper Rush under center.
Yeah, this is a team that has a throwback game plan, kind of like Cleveland. We're going to win with defense. We're going to win with the running game and safe quarterback play. Cooper Rush has been doing that. Not so much creating a lot of fantasy value, except for CD Lamb. And we'll see if CD Lamb gets some Jalen Ramsey in this one. You're going to leave Lamb in your lineup. You're going to see a lot of Zeke in this one, I think. And much like Jeff Wilson did on Monday night, maybe Zeke breaks a long run. Tony Pollard just remains a what the heck flex here. The Rams defense is still good. We can look back at that San Francisco game, and they gave up the long catch and run to Samuel and the long run to Wilson, but otherwise, there wasn't a lot going for that San Francisco offense. And I think the Dallas's offense with Cooper Rush is not going to be better than San Francisco's. So it's probably going to be a small pie of production, a low scoring game, a field position game. Don't turn over the ball over game. So you're not going to get cute with someone like Michael Gallup or Noah Brown. Like good to see Gallup getting back up to speed. But I think that really sees the matchup we want to focus on here is when the Rams are on the field against that Dallas pass rush.
Yes, and Matthew Stafford's elbow ruining everything for fantasy gyms across the planet. What does that mean? And also the fact that they're not going to run with as much success as they possibly could.
Right.
So, all right, Cooper Cup, it's all on you. Everything's on you. You did mention Higbee. It's interesting to think about because if you think pass rush, you go, okay, struggle target. That could be Higbee.
Yeah.
If Stafford's elbow was working.
Yeah, right. So this is a test for Sean McVay. In some ways, this is a test for Sean McVay along the same lines as the test for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes when Mahomes was trying to score 21 points on every play last year. And they had to redefine their goals on offense and redefine how they were going to accomplish those goals. And see, talk about Sleeper of the Week, brought to you by Sleeper. How about Darrell Henderson? Look, you're managing the workload for both running backs, right? So they're both healthy. And I get it, their starting center went down or the backup center. So now there's another backup to a backup in there on that offensive line, which is really missing Andrew Whitworth among others. However, this running game, we saw Dallas give up some nice runs last week to Jonathan Williams. Dallas can be run on. And doesn't it make sense? Like you said, Cease, maybe the short passes to Tyler Higbee, the struggle target, you just need to get the ball out of your hands. That's Cooper Kupp too. But also just establish the run. And I think we'll see if Sean McVay is a rational coach and understands the limitations of his offense, because it's not going to happen. And you're leaving Matthew Stafford back there basically as a sitting duck. And because of that, you're not even considering Allen Robinson. But again, it was sad, honestly, in this week that Blake Bortles retires. It was sad watching Allen Robinson just look like a shadow of the player he used to be. And we wanted to chalk that up to Chicago. We wanted to say it's like Randy Moss with the Raiders. He wasn't even really trying. But he's trying. Matthew Stafford's trying to get him those contested targets. He's not making the plays. He's even getting the ball on these short receptions, and he can't even keep his feet after the catch. So I think that all the talk about getting him going and things like that, nothing's under our control. I think the thing most under Allen Robinson's control is his level of play, and it's clearly down. And maybe this was a better take for week 1, week 2, but it was there for everyone to see in week 4 on Monday night.
So his big game, and Chris, are all of our buddies,
Yeah.
say dropped Allen Robinson last night. His 1,400-yard season was what, 2015?
Yeah.
It's a long time ago,
It's a while
man.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Everyone living in the past. Look up the number one hits. We're playing the hits here on the Audible from 2015.
They keep track of number 1 hits anymore? I feel like the number 1 song for the last 3 years has been like Ed Sheeran or something.
Ed Sheeran. It's Megan Thee Stallion. Come on, Bloom.
Oh.
Top hit of 2015. I am Googling it right now, live on air. Hello from Adele.
If it's Megan Thee Stallion, you might have to say sorry, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Can I say that? So yeah, there you go. So remember when Hello from Adele came out?
No.
That was the last time Allen Robinson was the man. Speaking of the men, Eagles. Woo!
Oh.
Going against Vance Joseph. Woo!
Uh-oh.
Yes. You want to win this week? Start your Eagles. You want to win
Yeah.
this week? Go to the waiver wire and grab more Eagles. All of your Eagles, even that backfield, Bloom. Okay, yeah, Miles Sanders is doing his thing. Guess what I'm doing with Kenneth Gainwell? Guess what I'm doing with Boston Scott? Sleeper of the week. What the heck, flex? I don't even care. If they got PHI next to their name, Phi, Bloom, which is the golden ratio.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Look at where we're going here.
Yeah.
You want the golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral for your fantasy score? Starting everyone with Phi next to their name.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. This is like sacred math or something.
Gravis's dad is Phi. That's why I get all excited.
Oh.
Mr. O'Gravis right here. His dad is Phi. His dad is nearly perfect. The near perfect being. Yeah.
Well, and Philadelphia is nearly perfect this year, right? So, they got that rough start. Philadelphia is good. See, I'm blooming them at this point. Maybe this isn't it. See, around week 4 or 5 is usually where we get that trap game that's it's so obviously lopsided. Maybe it's San Francisco, Carolina. Maybe that's the trap game where it's so obviously lopsided that almost because nobody in their right mind could see the team losing, they lose, and then they're fine. I mean, it's just the NFL. Maybe we got this out of our system in week 1 and week 2, but this is a Jalen Hurts bonanza. Yeah. The question, Cease. Here's the question everyone is asking about Jalen Hurts for fantasy. Can we get some games that are close at the end? Can we get some games where they have to still stay in their offense in the fourth quarter? Really? I mean, Jalen Hurts might be a buy high right now because he's a first round pick in terms of fantasy value, and you probably can get him for less than that in your league. So think about it, because this could be the game if Kyler Murray can pull rabbit out of a hat. This is closer. It's too bad we're not a couple of weeks down the line when DeAndre Hopkins is going to be back. Sanders is running hot. I don't know why they would go away from him at this point. I think you build the confidence of a player like that. But see, like you said, second half, maybe we see some Gainwell, maybe some Boston Scott is a little healthier, maybe Trey Sermon if Boston Scott isn't healthy enough to play. Of course, you're going to play A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. You got to play Devontae Smith.
Right? Oh, certainly.
You're
playing him over Jerry Jeudy tonight.
You're playing him because of the ceiling, and you're going to absorb games where he gets 1 or 2 targets because when he's good, we already saw this year, he was the number 1 wide receiver of the week. Even Quez Watkins, if you're going really, really deep, because I know I like my 16-team leagues. I like my leagues where you have to go deep. And I think that this is a game where going deep could be how Quez Watkins puts something up on the stat sheet for you, because, again, this Phillies offense is good. I think the defense is pretty good too.
There is a clock that is ticking, Bloom, about DeAndre Hopkins' return. It's not yet. Yeah. So the Cardinals will have to put up a fight. And if they can't stay with the Eagles, well, what does that say about James Conner?
Right.
What does it say about their game plan? When, okay, Hollywood, and the names are there, you're going to look at the names and be like, I like those names. Then you're going to look at the games and you'll be like, I don't like those games.
No.
So what kind of games are you playing with your lineup when it comes to Cardinals players?
Connor doesn't seem like the game script's going to help him. It really depends. Cease, once they're down 2 scores, is that Benjamin time? Is that Darrell Williams time? Or does it remain James Conner time? Just because he maybe is the most well-rounded back of the 3, I don't know. So Connor has more what the heck flex, low end desperation running back too. And we'll see about usage. We're still wondering if Connor can stay healthy. You're going to play Kyler Murray just because. Does it sound familiar? Arizona's probably going to fall behind big in the first half, and Kyler Murray is just going to have to run around and make stuff happen, which is kind of like the game plan anyway, right? Isn't that their default offense? Kyler Murray runs around and makes things happen. And one of those things he's going to make happen is a lot of short passes to Zach Ertz. Revenge game. So Zach Ertz, I guess if there's the other tight end other than Andrews and Kelsey that you're really feeling okay about plugging into your lineup, at least until DeAndre Hopkins is back. Maybe this is time to throw out a DeAndre Hopkins trade offer, especially in dynasty leagues if the team is 0-4. And of course, Marquise Brown, got to watch him. Under injury report with that foot, he showed up on the injury report last week, but looked fantastic on his touchdown catch, and he's still very much a trusted player. Darius Slay's a little banged up on the Eagles side. That could help things for Marquise Brown. Outside, and yeah, Arizona's just going to try keep them, in a race. Cease, like you just want to be able to still see them. You're not going to win, but you don't want to fall or you get lapped. You don't want to fall so far behind. I mean, that's what you're looking at with Arizona. Can they just be competitive in this one?
In the chat room, you'll have to help me out here, Bloom. Is it Plopple or is it Pull Oxygen Pull? I don't know. I apologize, but we appreciate you. PLO2PL.
Oh, okay.
That's like K2SO, like R2D2. Yeah. All right. Are we trying to get rid of Ertz before Nuke gets back?
No, because I think that you're still going to need a place because we can see that these game scripts are going to force Kyler Murray to throw a lot. And I think Ertz is going to remain good enough because that's the other thing. I mean, I guess if Ertz was your number 2 tight end, you would consider that. By the way, I didn't mention Rondale Moore. He was back there on the field for 86% of the snaps last week. Barely targeted. This is not a favored target of Kyler Murray, at least not yet.
And it's people to people. See, this is why the chat room is much smarter than I am.
People to people.
People to
right?
people.
That was remember the old person to person calls? I was reminiscing the other day about like the days before caller ID and call waiting and all that stuff we can remember.
There we go. People are people, so why should it be? That's right. Let's go Sunday night. Cincinnati and Baltimore, a big one in the AFC North. And on the Cincinnati side to start things off, okay, against Baltimore, you can have your way. So Bengals players are players that will be full in your lineup. So let's break it down and how Cincinnati will attack Baltimore, Bloom.
Through the air, right? I mean, this was the 500-yard game last year.
Yeah.
So you're certainly, until we see otherwise, you're putting in your ceiling projections. And yes, Baltimore's pass defense was not that long ago once considered a strength of the team. But until we see that happen, you should not assume that.
What about Hayden Hurst over Kittle? You threw out Kittle and who you drop behind him that you would play over Kittle? I'm like, well, maybe Hayden Hurst in this one, buddy.
Yeah, I wonder though if his coach. I don't know if you saw Cecil. I don't remember which offensive coach it was saying, "Oh, Hurst, 55 for 50 every week." Sounds like he's doing the Audible preview, right? But he doesn't even hit 5 for 50. He had a touchdown last week, so Hurst hasn't looked all that dynamic. And certainly, they need if there's pressure on the quarterback, that's when they need Hurst. I don't know if Baltimore can get a lot of pressure, but Hurst and Boyd. Here's what I had in my notes for Hurst and Boyd this week. Cecil, you can do worse. You could do worse because you expect Burrow to have a lot of success just based on the trend in this matchup going into this one. And under the theme of are these teams good? They're both probably good. Which team's better? Which team can assert themselves as the favorite in the AFC North? It's not the Steelers. The Browns say, don't forget about us. Don't forget about we're going to get our quarterback. But obviously, in a DFS way, right? Or I guess this is like a showdown slate game, but you're certainly putting a lot of chips on the Cincinnati passing game here. Joe Mixon's getting lots of opportunities. I think there's stats that people have come up with now to quantify opportunity, and he was number 1 in one of those stats. So the opportunities there, they're not that efficient running the ball. He hasn't been that efficient turning his opportunities into fantasy points, but in this game, you may see this could be a game where he gets 2 or 3 short rushing touchdowns if there's a lot of pass interference and pass interference, penalties, everything to help Lamar Jackson, who's doing it all on his own right now.
Yeah, he's doing it all on his own. Did they officially call up Gus Edwards yet? I know they activated him. They started
the 21-day window is open.
Yeah, the 21-day window is open. Talk to me when they do that. Like, I'm actually not a huge J.K. Dobbins guy. I've never been a Justice guy, but like Gus Edwards is intriguing to me, to be sure. Watching the continued usage of these wide receivers, it's not just all about Mandrew. There's wide receivers to be involved here with Jackson, swinging that sword. He's out there chopping that wood, trying to get it done all himself. He's got a little bit of help.
Yeah. And absolutely in the NFL optical illusions about our team's good or not, right? Because Baltimore's 2-2. That doesn't seem good, but they've trailed. I think the stat says they've trailed for 14 seconds this year. They've lost 2 games, trailing for 14 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. So you might say this team should be 4-0, but also you can say that there are some things that are exposed in those losses. The pass defense, especially pass defense late in games, and how this offense puts so much on Lamar Jackson's shoulders, although it was in a rainstorm and so on. But you just saw Josh Allen in a similar situation, able to do more. Maybe they'll get Ronnie Stanley back this week. Maybe that helps. You just can't help but feel, Cecil, how long will it last? How long can Lamar Jackson continue to do this? And maybe some of these things will come into focus, like a J.K. Dobbins, who's a good play this week simply because, like you said, I don't think we're going to see Gus Edwards, Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake. You know what the team feels about these running backs. Justice Hill, you know what they feel about him. They like him, but he's got a hamstring injury. He's going to be out. So Dobbins should get a lot of work in this game. And then Devin Duvernay, there's a potential sleeper of the week. Devin Duvernay with Rashad Bateman nursing that foot injury. And look, what Bateman has done this year has been downfield. So if one of those wheels ain't right, it's hard to get up to top speed. And I think this could absolutely be a game where Duvernay's top speed will be used by Lamar Jackson in the downfield passing game. And of course, Mark Andrews. This could be a game where he has 10 catches or more, especially if Cincinnati's pass game is as good as it was the last time these two teams met.
Well, and sometimes, Bloom, the math is easy. You think of what Bateman's done downfield, like you were saying, Duvernay does that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Bateman's doing that Duvernay, like, it would be foreign to him to do or difficult for him. No, downfield, that's Duvernay's game. So we will see who is the sleeper of the week. That's coming up in just a little bit. But first, it is Monday Night Football, a battle in the AFC West, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders against the Kansas City Chiefs. This one's in Arrowhead or whatever they call it now. And you've got the Vegas Raiders maybe feeling their oats a little bit, Bloom, right? After Josh Jacobs with that career high 144 yards. Watch, he'll have 44 yards this week. But either way, if you're the Raiders, did you find the combination? You can still get Devontae Adams his thing. You can still get Darren Waller his thing. We'll watch the health status of everyone else, including a Hunter Renfrow, whatever. But like, I'm thinking about Jacobs and Zamir White, a potential sleeper of the week himself, because if you go against Kansas City, logic dictates football 101, play keep away. Is that more Jacobs because it worked last week?
Yeah, I think that's the rational game plan now. What can we count on from Josh McDaniels? I don't know. It took 4 games for him to ride Josh Jacobs, and they finally won. Now, see, you're covering the AFC West. How did these Chiefs Raiders games go in the Patrick Mahomes era, right? How do these games go? Now, wild, because what happens is the Raiders come in and throw punches. I mean, the Raiders are not afraid of the Chiefs. The Raiders do not back down from the Chiefs in that divisional rival kind of way. But the Chiefs always land their punches, right? So the question is, are the Raiders also landing counter punches, also turning this into a slugfest, or is it just a beatdown? We'll see. It is, I mean, those are the two varieties of games you get when these two teams, like massive shootout kind of games, or Kansas City just beats them down. But Devontae Adams is still going to be part of this one way or the other. And like you said, it's a little bit murky after that. Renfrow should be back, practiced earlier this week. You love seeing that. Anytime a player misses more than a week with a concussion, you just feel relieved when they come back to practice. Like when we hear Tua Tagovailoa practicing, relief. And does that mean you put Renfrow in? Waller. I mean, if you think this is going to be Kansas City running away from Vegas, then it's more of a Renfrow game. Hollins in deeper leagues, you still have him at the end of your bench to see what happens when Renfrow's back. But it should be the Josh Jacobs offense, and you're going to put Josh Jacobs in your lineup. And like you said, Cease, the best defense can be a good offense, a good ball control offense. And we've also seen, when we talk about Kansas City, 2 versions of their offense, right? Against Arizona, against Tampa Bay, everything works. Against Indy, not that much work. So this has been a choppy season so far for Kansas City. And I think that however we look at Las Vegas and we look at what Las Vegas has done, also against the Chargers, again, the Chiefs had a lot of problems with the Chargers defense. Raiders don't think they're going to have that many problems. So I think we can expect success for Kansas City.
Great success for Kansas City. It seems like all of those receivers are sleepers of the week because you're like, wake
asleep.
up. Staying asleep. I've got Isaiah Pacheco as a sleeper of the week. Is he my number one? A little bit Bloom. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think the key for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has been Isaiah Pacheco. I think having that talent behind him, pushing him, has brought out the best of CEH, and fantasy GMs have been taking advantage of that. Hell, the Chiefs have been taking advantage of that. And if they can have this other punch. You're the boxing fan, Bloom. I used to be Marvelous Marvin Hagler days, but if you can have that other punch, this is what makes the Chiefs the most dangerous foe for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills need to develop the punch that the Chiefs have, because the Chiefs are coming for them. We have a collision course between two teams, and if one team can run and the other team doesn't really care about running, guess who's going to win in the playoffs? It's that team that can run.
You're seeing last week against Tampa Bay, again, not a team we think of as a pushover against the run. Kansas City establishing the run, Isaiah Pacheco being part of that. Just to put a punctuation mark on this, over the last 4 years, here are the point totals in the 8 games for the Chiefs that against the Raiders: 40, 35, 28, 40, 32, 35, 41, and 48. So there's going to be points. It would be shocking if there weren't at least 4 touchdowns based on history for this team. That means Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in your lineup. Got to be in your lineup. Come on. I hope we don't get any questions. I know it could blow up on our face because it was opportunity usage and things like that, but that's turning into fantasy points, and it should in this matchup. Isaiah Pacheco, absolutely a sleeper of the week, especially if the Chiefs at home open up a big lead. We know that Kelsey is going to make it happen in the passing game, and like you said, Cecil, they're all what the heck flexes. And you can say, but the game script, but they're going to put, well, they did it last week. They did it in week 1. What did Valdez-Scantling do in that game? What did Juju do in that game? You look at these and see doing the start-sit questions. And for those of you that are content creators out there, do a lot of start-sit questions, because it shows you what players people are valuing roughly equally. And also because you have some skin in the game, your rep, your name, you really simulate it, because doing rankings is kind of inert. When people actually use your rankings, say, are you telling me I should start this player over this player? And then you think about it like, And Juju just hasn't given us any FOMO, any fear of missing out. Right. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, no fear of missing out here. What have they done, even in games when the Chiefs are scoring over 40 points? What have they done? So I think that these aren't players that are compelling. I won't be shocked if one of them has a big game on Monday night, but they might be on my bench if I had them.
No FOMO. And note to content creators, when you do start-sit questions, Bloom, you can't give the opposite answer.
Right.
I'm just going to say everything, and I'll be right eventually, and I will engagement farm on Twitter because it's the most important thing ever. Anyway, I am a little bit ornery today, but let's do this. I'll cut down on the orneriness, and we'll get to the ever popular what the heck. Oh, wait. But first, we have our very popular Sleeper of the Week.
It's time for the Sleeper of the Week, powered by Sleeper.
Kenneth Gainwell, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be Start Your Eagles week. Gainwell is that guy, receiver, runner, whatever. They're going to get him involved and don't even really need a lead to do it. So Kenneth Gainwell, you got to have him in your lineup this week as my Sleeper of the Week. Bloom, week 5. Who are your Sleepers of the Week?
The Sleeper of the Week. I'm going to give the Sleeper of the Week. I'm going to give to Alec Pierce tonight against Denver. Hopefully his snap percentage will go up. You're going to see PS2 covering Michael Pittman, and maybe there could be a breakdown in that secondary. Pierce on that go route we'll see if they can keep.
What? Ron Darby falling asleep?
He's our sleeper of the week. For your sleeper of the week, look for the defensive back who's asleep. Some other what the heck flexes this week. Watch if it's Isaiah McKenzie, then you want him in. If not, Khalil Shakir, always that slot receiver against the Steelers. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees with Traylon Burks out against Washington secondary. Corey Davis, that seems to be Zach Wilson's guy until we see evidence otherwise. Xavier Howard, not full speed. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper facing a good cornerback, and J.C. Jackson, that could be another Donovan Peoples-Jones week. And Devin Duvernay, again, we talked about him with Rashad Bateman banged up. At running back, some sleepers to look at, both New England backs. I think we could see the New England backs combine for 40 carries in this one. I really do. I think that against Detroit, New England is just going to want to run the ball no matter who the quarterback is. Nyheim Hines, the quote-unquote starter, and I just think that you're going to see him. This is the week to get him in if you have him. I certainly have him a lot of places. Rashad White, we talked about. Rashad Penny on the injury report with a shoulder. So Kenneth Walker, enter Kenneth Walker as the Seattle offense is really growing up. And I mentioned Darrell Henderson, as that should be the game plan for Sean McVay. We'll see what he actually does.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker has entered the chat room. Not really chat room, but in your mind.
In internet vernacular. Everything's internet. Everything is all based on the layer we have between each other. And
right.
The two and the people to people.
Our friend Dave, with fabulous hair, by the way, Dave Gladstone in the chat room says, I would love a Lassie Bark of the Week segment. Yeah, we could get it sponsored with paid endorsements.
Milkbone. Milkbone.
I was thinking like PetSmart, you know what I mean? PetSmart, Milkbone.
Sausages.
We'll throw you a bone.
Sausages.
Milkbone. Sausage, bacon strips, right? Begging. You're begging for our Lassie Bark of the Week. But see, in order to do that, I have to get paid, Bloom. I hate to sound like a talent.
That's true.
My job description is talent. So if I do anything where I'm reading anything that you tell me, I'd better be getting paid or I'm going to be pissed off.
By the word. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. We said a lot of words. Milkbone, PetSmart, Petco, Chewy. Send us some money.
Crack sales department on it.
You all have dogs out there, right?
Oh, Chewy. That's what I was thinking of. How could I not think of Chewy? Right? This is a terrible Chewbacca impression. Terrible. I'm going on 3 hours of sleep, everybody. It's all good. It's all good. Bloom, you're a trooper that I love very dearly. I will tell you that. Our audience, I love y'all very dearly as well. You make it happen for us. Follow Sigmund on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Follow the Audible on Twitter and do those YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. Stay tuned and stay frosty.